I am especially happy tonight to introduce a speaker for this special occasion, a French woman, scientist with an impressive career in research, higher education, and outreach. Professor Nicole Moreau. She received a doctorate in chemistry from Paris for one of, well, it's Paris 11. It's actually my university in Paris. She worked at the CNRS, the Research Institute, and became also a professor at Université Paris 6, whose actual name is Université Pierre and Marie Curie. Okay? Her research is at the interface of chemistry and life science, like in a sense Marie Curie, mainly in the field of antibacterial agents. She developed a screening system in order to find molecules from natural substance or synthesis capable of being active against resistant bacteria. I think we need a lot this kind of work right now. After many other leadership positions, Dr. Moreau is now the president of the International Union of Pure and Applied Chemistry, and as such, she is exactly the president of the year of chemistry, the International Year of Chemistry, which is 2011. This year was inaugurated on January 27 at UNESCO in the presence of Mrs. Bokova, the Director General of UNESCO, and of Pierre and Marie Curie's granddaughter, Hélène Langevin. I am convinced that this year has been exhausted for Nicole, but also very rewarding. And I think she will share with us what she thinks about this experience, about Marie Curie, and about the role of chemistry in our present and future society. Please, Nicole. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this kind introduction. And first of all, I have to thank the Carnegie Institution and Mr. Mezer. It is really a great honor for me to speak here in this first beautiful building and so prestigious one. So I will try to be good, if you pardon my French, but my French English. No. So as you have seen that we already have an exhibition, very good exhibition here. We also will have a good film at the end of this event. We will be two speakers to speak about Marie Curie. So it was very difficult not to say always the same thing. So I will try to show you different aspects of Marie Curie, maybe not only the Nobel Prize, but something else. And of course, what is important is to understand why she is known. Most people don't like sciences, and as a consequence, scientists are almost totally unknown by the man in the street. Only a few names emerge. Archimedes, because everybody imagine him coming out of his bath and shouting Eureka, so it's known. Newton, because of the apple. Benjamin Franklin, because everybody knows the lightning conductor. Pasteur, because rabbits has always been such a terror. Einstein, because the mysterious thing called relativity. But Madame Curie, why? Why is this? So we'll try to see it. And I will explain, I will show you the life of Marie Skodowska-Curie, but we will pinpoint all the matter we can explain this, how this woman is so well known. So, first of all, she was a woman and a woman with such a high level in science that is something remarkable. And then, as you can see, she has been also a very beautiful young woman. You have not to read it. You cannot read it. It's just to show you this is all, each point is one event, special event in the life of Marie. So you see that she did a lot of things. She was really very, very active, and not only in scientific, in real scientific matters. So this is also one reason. So she was born on the 7th November 1867 in Warsaw. The life was good. She was the youngest of 5 children in a very well-educated family because both parents were professors, but the things were not so good very long because Poland was occupied at that time by the Russia, because Poland, after Wien Congress, had been split into dismantled, and one part belonged to Prussia and the other one belonged to Russia. So it was forbidden to, not allowed to learn and to teach in Polish. It was necessary to do it in Russia. And Marie's father was not very disciplined and had problems, of course, and did not keep his professor situation, and money began to not be so easy in the family. Moreover, as you see, in 1876, the elder daughter died from typhus, and 2 years after, the mother cannot afford this and died also. So at 11 years old, Marie was not a very happy girl, and she devoted to what she learned at school. And of course, she was very brilliant, and she was very, very excellent in every matter. She was very close of her sister, Bronia, and as you see, it was not possible because it was Poland occupied by Russia, but mainly because at this period, everywhere in the world, women had not to make studies. So with Bronia, they decided something. I will work, and you can go to Paris to make your studies. Bronia wanted to be a doctor, and when you will be arrived there, you will call me, and I will go and come and live with you in Paris. And the money I will earn it here. So it happened. She worked. Bronia went to Paris, became a doctor, and called Marie to come by her. And Marie, in 1891, she was 24 years old, arrived in Paris. She went immediately to the Faculty of Sciences, and 2 years after, she was in the first in physical sciences degree, then the following year, second in math degree. And of course, she obtained a scholarship because she was such a brilliant girl. She was happy. She was happy because the life was pleasant in Paris for somebody who wanted to work so much. She did not stay with her sister because it was not very easy to work enough, and she lived in the Quartier Latin. And this is a picture made by another Polish student, and you see she was very young, very beautiful, and finally a happy girl. She needed to have a lab to work, and she found a lab, and she worked. She needed something about magnetism, and someone, a Polish professor, told her, I know somebody who could help you. And it was a man called Pierre Curie. She met Pierre Curie and they worked together. And finally, of course, they're married, you see, 1 year after. And I have written 2 sentences that they say. Pierre Curie said, how beautiful it would be to spend our life together, hypnotized by our dreams, your patriotic dream, our humanitarian one, and our scientific dream. And she thrilled. She wrote to her sister, I noticed the grave and gentle expression of his face, as well as certain abandon in his attitude, suggesting the dreamer absorbed in his reflections. So it was really a real and great love. See, their honeymoon with a tour of France on bicycle, purchased with a wedding gift. They had 2 daughters, and you see, she wrote, it became a serious problem, how to take care of our little Irène, the first one. Irène was the first one, this one. Without giving up my scientific work. Such a renunciation would have been very painful to me, and my husband would not even think of it. Thanks also to his husband, who understood that she needed to work. So, the close union of our family enabled me to meet my obligations. In fact, the family was very united, and unfortunately, her husband's mother died at that moment, and her father-in-law, she loved a lot, went to live with them and helped to take care of the children, and mainly of Irène. She was the older, with of course some other people, but it was a very good thing. In 1898, she began the studies of the rays discovered by Henri Becquerel, and she discovered polonium and radium with Pierre Curie, because they have been authorized to work in the same lab. They need some money, of course, and by chance, Pierre was named as a professor at La Sorbonne, while she cannot be a professor at the university. No woman has never been a professor at the university. So she was a professor at Sèvres, which is now École Normale Supérieure, which is the best college for professors. And you can see her in the middle with students. This is their laboratory in a school in Paris, where they discovered polonium and radium in pitchblende. And in 92, they isolated pure radium chloride, and the year after she did her PhD. You can see that really it's not very beautiful. It's not Carnegie Institution. The same year she obtained her PhD, she won with Henri Becquerel and with Pierre Curie the Nobel Prize of Physics. 2 years after, Pierre was received in the Academy of Sciences. The year after was a very bad year, because in April, Pierre died accidentally in the streets. It was something terrible for Marie, who wrote her journal as this moment, and it was discovered after that she wrote that. And finally, she became a professor at La Sorbonne, because they needed to replace Pierre, and she was the only one able to do that. So, for the first time, a woman was a professor at La Sorbonne, and she became also the head of the lab. Something very interesting is that an American philanthropist called Andrew Carnegie established in 1997 the Curie scholarships, which enabled promising scientists to devote themselves full-time to research in Marie's lab. And so, in 1910, she isolated metallic radium. And in 1911, 100 years ago, she obtained alone the Nobel Prize, this time for chemistry. It was the first time and one of the unique times that someone had 2 Nobel Prizes. And this was taken also in 1911. It is a very, very high Congress of Physics in Brussels, and you can see many, many high names. You have here Einstein. Look at this man. He's called Paul Langevin. This is Marie Curie with Henri Poincaré. This very beautiful man, beautiful indeed, is Rutherford. But she was the only woman. But she was there. But this year was not good because she was not accepted at the Academy of Science despite 2 Nobel Prizes. It was incredible. And she had the Langevin affair. Paul Langevin, you saw here, was not happy with his wife, and they separated, but not divorced. And Paul frequently met Marie, and of course, this made a very bad story. Her letters, the letter they exchanged has been stolen and showed in the press, but cut, and so it was terrible, and she was very, very miserable, and never can they live together, but their daughter of Marie and the grandson of Paul Langevin married together. And the reason why the granddaughter of Marie is called Hélène Langevin. So, in 1914, when the war arrived, the Radium Institute, now the Institut Curie in France, was built. And at that moment, and it is also one of the reasons, all my strength at the service of my adopted country will be given to this adopted country, since I can't do anything for my unfortunate native country just now. She cannot do anything for Poland because it was the war, and she wrote that to Paul Langevin in 1950. So you see, she was very faithful, she was trustable, and she was very honest also. During the war, she set up the mobile X-ray vehicle, which brought X-rays to the front in World War I. And of course, she learned how to drive, to do it herself, to go to the front with these cars. And her daughter, the next one, her daughter did it also. You can see her here. And this is the car called Les Petites Curies, coming from the front in the Invalides. So you see, it was not science, it was the application of science for the war. And you see here Marie and Irène, and Irène alone in the military hospital in Amiens. And Marie wrote, the use of the X-rays during the war saved the life of many wounded men. He also saved many from long suffering and lasting infirmity. So you see, it is very good after. After the war, she began with Dr. Claudius Regaud to use the radium for cancer treatment. And after the first success of this treatment, Curie therapy people were mad about radiotherapy. They put it in lipstick, in cream, etc., etc. Thor is for thorium, etc. During the spring, something also with America. During the spring of 1919, she offered her also with Irène radiology courses to a group of American soldiers who remained in France awaiting passage home. So Irène worked also on the lab with her mother. And in 1920, she met Marie Meloni, named Mrs., who made a subscription here in the United States to create the Marie Curie Radium Fund. And she convinced Marie to come to the United States, and you see here is Missy, it's Irène, Marie, and Eve, the other, you can see them here, of course, Eve, the other daughter. She was given by America 1 gram of radium. You see her with President Harding in 1921. She came back another time to obtain another gram radium for Warsaw Institute she had also created, and it was with President Hoover that time. Then she was received without having asked it in the Academy of Medicine, so went to Warsaw, and at the end she began very ill and died of leukemia. And some month after, Irène and her husband, Frédéric Joliot, obtained the Nobel Prize of Chemistry for the discovery of artificial radioactivity. So this is the Curie Museum in Paris. There is a small garden in front of it where she has planted roses, and now there is a statue of them. And we must think that in this family, Marie, and her husband, Irène and her husband, they won 4 Nobel Prizes. And I can see that there is a 5th Nobel Prize. Eve Curie, who was a writer and a pianist, and who lived very long, 103 years, wrote a book on her mother, and went to the US in the Second War to advertise for France Libre, became a correspondent of the Herald Tribune, etc., etc., and married, the American Henry Richardson Labouisse, Nobel Prize for Peace in 1965. So 5 Nobel Prize in 2 generations. And she was in the Pantheon, of course, so you know that. And this is Hélène, his great daughter, speaking about her mother at the UNESCO this year. And now we can see she was a woman, a beautiful young woman, did an incredible number of things, never gave up, was determined and courageous despite many grave problems, was a genius, of course, had 2 Nobel Prizes, but was charismatic, able to find friends and supporters, has an intense social activity, was faithful and trustable. She was a unique and exceptional person, and I think this is the reason why everybody knows and admires Marie Curie. I thank you.